Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another MLB discussion video. This is going to be a good one. We're going to be talking about a scope of different issues, mainly dealing with players, the player union, money. Is it all going to come together in 2020? We'll find out. But I definitely want to know your opinion on this topic because, like I said, there's a wide range, a wide spectrum of opinions and ideas. I'll be sharing mine here at the end. But I want to go over, kind of what we know. Like I said, my opinion on things. We'll see what happens here. But basically, let's start from the beginning. MLB had this proposal of 82 games, an 82-game schedule starting at about the 4th of July, a universal DH, all that kind of stuff. And it was approved. All it needed to be do was, sent to the players' union, make sure everything is organized and everything is okay. Then we started to run into problems, right? So a couple of MLB players have come out. I know Sean Doolittle came out about the safety of players. Trevor Bauer and Blake Snell have come out about the money issues and how that's going to work out with them and other players. So let's start with that. We'll start with Blake Snell here. I'm recording this on May 15th. He came out on May 14th on Twitch and said, yep, if I don't get my full amount, 100% of my money, I will not be playing in 2020. Basically, he says it's not worth the amount of money that I would be making to play if the risk is too high. He goes on to just say, COVID-19 is a problem still, and there's way too much risk. He doesn't want the Rona in his body for the rest of his life damaging him. Basically what he said to sum it up, unless he's getting the full amount. Now, a lot of people have seen this as money hungry. We'll get to that in a second, but a lot of people are seeing this as money hungry. They should just be playing for the love of the game. Mark Teixeira, on the other side of things, he says, players should be playing for pennies, whatever it takes to get back on the field because, they want, he thinks that players should be playing for the love of the game to get baseball back, to unionize America. So yeah, that's kind of the two sides. You've got Blake Snell, Trevor Bauer wanting, more of the players to get their money, and then Mark Teixeira and other fans basically saying, get baseball back, whatever it costs. So MLB came out with a revenue share. So the owners came out with like a 50-50 revenue share. So basically the players would be making 50%, owners would be making 50%. I'm not exactly sure 100% on the details of that proposal, but I do know that it doesn't make Blake Snell very happy. And like I said, he's not going to play unless he makes his full amount. His full amount is $7 million. Okay, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money because I'm pretty sure none of us watching this video are making $7 million maybe combined. But that's a lot of money. So if it's a player-by-player basis, 50% of that would be $3.5 million. Now, Blake Snell goes on to say that there's a 33% cut in there as well, and he's really only getting like 25% of the money. So even if you take it, $7.5 million, $7 million, cut it in half, $3.5 million, and then 33% of that, which is like $1.2 million, plus tax on it, could be like $500,000. I mean, that's really rough math, but $500,000 for Blake Snell, who should be making $7 million. Now, that's obviously a big chunk of change that he's losing. And of course, we'll talk about the owners here in a second, but are they still making, $500,000 off of Blake Snell then? Or are they taking 50%? Are they still making $3.5 million? I'll talk about that in a second, but it's really kind of that iffy boundary, that walking a tightrope between the 50-50 revenue share that the owners and the players would be getting. So basically, I think here Blake Snell did a really poor job of expressing his opinions here. I think that he made it a lot about himself. Okay, so what I mean by that is he's saying, I want my $7 million. I signed a contract so that I'm gonna get $7 million. I want that money. I think that came off as a little maybe aggressive. I don't know if that's the right word, but he said that he wants his money. I do think the overall picture of that is saying, look, I want my money. Other players should get their money kind of thing. And look at the smaller guys, right? The minor leaguers, the guys making league minimum. If I'm making $7 million and then getting all this taken away, what are they getting, right? So I think that's more of what he's trying to say. I don't think he said that very well. But like if you look at the example, a league minimum player making $400,000, and then they get 50% of that, $200,000, a 33% cut. Boom, they're down to, and then taxed on that. That could be down to $50,000, $100,000. I mean, they're still making good money, right? I want to take that away from them, but it's obviously less than they had signed a contract for, and I think that's like what he was saying, but I don't think he said that very well. I do want to mention Trevor Bauer also made this kind of analogy, where is it really these players' fault, right? I think this is where the players kind of get upset, is they signed a contract for whatever amount of money, Blake Snell in this case, $7 million, and he wants that money. He signed that contract. This was out of his control. COVID-19, completely out of the players' control. They shouldn't have to suffer because of this. And the analogy Trevor Bauer made was like, hey, I make a $100,000 proposal as a painter to a client. And then all of a sudden, things happen. The house burns down. Something happens. You have to negotiate the money, and you have to cut it down to $50,000. And then things happen again, and people can't sell the house because it's not painted properly or something like that. Along those lines, you probably have seen Trevor Bauer's tweets on that. But basically, he's saying it's not my control. The painter would still get the money because he signed the contract with the client. He made the agreement to get the $100,000 or even the $50,000. He signed that agreement. That's what they should be getting. And then they're not. By having all this money taxed and taken away from them, they're not getting that agreement. The argument to that would then be, look at all the other jobs in America, worldwide. Basically, they had these jobs, right? They were paying 40 hours a week, whatever, 60 hours a week, whatever you do. And this happens. It was out of their control, but they had to take pay cuts. I mean, people lost their jobs. People, like I said, took pay cuts. Businesses had to close, or they would have to take extreme pay cuts. I mean, the situation we've been living in for the last 2 months. Why are MLB players any different? That's kind of the argument here. Why, just because you're a top tier pitcher, should you be making all of your money instead of somebody who works at the grocery store who, is now seeing a 50% decrease in business? So that's kind of the two sides of the money issue. But I do want to talk about the owner issue. I think this is where I more disagree with. I think players should get their money. Maybe not all of it, but I don't think this 50-50 proposal is correct, because if you're looking at, Blake Snell, for example, $7 million, and the owner takes $3.5 million of that, that's 50% of Blake Snell's money. Then they're doing it to every player. That's quite a bit, right? I mean, I do think the owner should make a little bit more money than the players, because they own the team. They've got a bunch of different people to pay. They've got a bunch of different things they got to do to run the team, and own the team. But a 50-50 revenue share for everybody doesn't make sense to me. That seems kind of money hungry on the other side of things with the owners, especially since the owners don't have to disclose how much they make. If you've got a $10 billion owner, Mr. X makes $10 billion for the Rays, and Blake Snell only makes $7 million. That's not a lot of money. That is a very, very, very small percentage of the gross total that Mr. X, the owner, would be making, right? So I think that when you break it down into that kind of standpoint, and you look at how much the owners are actually making, they are completely robbing the players. And again, that's not a bad thing until it gets out of hand, right? I personally think, it wouldn't be a bad thing for the owners to disclose how much they would be making, which would allow the players and media and workers to see how much of a cut they're really getting. I think it should be fair across the board. I think that, like I said, owners should probably be making a little bit more, but they shouldn't be able to, ruin the system, cheat the system. I don't know, put it in their favor by making so much more money and kind of screwing these players out of money they should be making. Like I said, they signed a contract. They should be making that money. I personally think, I don't know, I haven't really thought about this too much, but, they're playing 80% or 50% of the games. A 50% cut in pay does make sense on its face. Per se, it makes sense. But then when you have to continue to give the money to the owner, that's where it gets a little washy with me. But, I do think players should play for the love of the game, but I think, they earned their money. That makes sense. They should get that money, and it really comes down to how much the owners are working with them. I mean, in other businesses, as I mentioned, owners have had to take pay cuts. To keep their business alive, they've had to take pay cuts. And I know the MLB came out with a statement about 2 days ago saying the MLB owners would lose $4 billion if there's no games played this season. That's why they want to play, and that's what they need to do is play. But is $4 billion a lot of money to them? I don't know how. Like I said, they don't disclose their amount of money that they make. So is $4 billion a lot? There's a whole bunch of things that are behind closed doors, and I think that's what makes this whole situation frustrating for the players and for the fans who want to see baseball back. It is for the love of the game, but they earned that paycheck. They should be able to get it. However, they can't be cheated either. So I don't know. I think that's kind of where we are right now. But I definitely want to hear your side of the issue. Do you think they should just forget about the money? Be like Mark Teixeira and say, play the game, right? Or are you on the other side with Blake Snell and saying, yep, they deserve all of their paycheck because that's what they signed the contract for? I want to know what you guys think. It's like I said, it's a lot to cover. There's a lot of different issues with the owners, the players, with the fans. It's not an easy situation to solve. So I want to know what you guys think about all of this. With the revenue cut, with the game starting up. I want to see what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. But that's all I got for you today. Hopefully we can have a good discussion about that in the comments. So thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.